What is the mark of the beast? Beast. What is the mark of the beast? The mark of the beast is mentioned in Revelation chapter 13. But the bigger question is, what is the beast, right? The mark is an indication of those who follow the beast. We talked about this in the last podcast about the story of America. We had to define, as a part of Western culture and that being the apex of Satan's system, we had to define the beast. Revelation chapter 13 mentions two beasts. It's the second beast that gives people the mark in honor of the first beast, right? But of course there are a lot of other beasts, and in Daniel chapter 7, he mentions 4 beasts. And last time I mentioned that Satan's system has reached its apex 4 times. You have the first in Genesis chapter 11 in the land of Shinar, right? This is the first time you see Satan's system expressed in the city with the tower at the center. Then we had Babylon, which is why in Revelation the whore is called the whore of Babylon. Then you have Rome, then you have America. There's a reason why our symbol, the American symbol, is an eagle. It was also Rome's symbol, guys, because it's a continuation of the same thing. What is that same thing? It is a mark of the beast. What is the mark of the beast? It's simply something that indicates things and what they belong to, right? It's interesting, in Revelation chapter 14, it says that God's people are marked on the forehead. In 13, it says that those that receive the mark of the beast are marked on their forehead and their hand. Why? Like, a lot of people want to take that literal, right? Oh, we're going to get a computer chip in our hand. No, guys, the head represents thinking, the hand represents doing. When people participate with Satan's system, it marks their thinking, it marks their actions, right? So how we think and how we act can be in line with one of two kingdoms, God's or Satan's. The mark of the beast, in the most general sense, is a mark of those who are participating with the system of Satan, which gets expressed through the beast. And as I already said last time, the beast represents Satan's nation state. Hence, it being expressed through nation states. It is the order of the organization of humanity into a kind of culture. Culture represents the values of a people. Satan has his culture. This is his mark. This is his beast. His mark, his culture, his system is the nation state, which controls people through punishment, through violence, and makes them participate in its systems, all of its systems, education, government, religion. There are state religions, guys. This is why it is never of God to have a state-sanctioned religion, because you are basically having a Satan-sanctioned religion when you have a state religion. This is why Christian nationalism is anti-Christ and anti-God, because you're basically saying Christian Satanism. So you're basically trying to mix Christ and Satan with Christian nationalism, because the nation state is the beast. And when you put God's people on the beast, you have the whore of Babylon. This is the picture of what happens when you mingle the bride with the beast. You get the whore of Babylon in Revelation chapter 17 and 18, which we already talked about last time. The mark of the beast is simply the internal state and reality of the way people think and act when they are in participation with Satan's beast, his nation state. The height of that has been expressed 4 times, as Daniel points out, the 4 beasts, the land of Shinar, Babylon, Rome, and America. But there's something else about the mark of the beast that we should look at, and that's why I want to go to Revelation chapter 13. This is a revelation of John. The Holy Spirit is showing John behind the scenes of the world to the spiritual reality of what's going on, right? And it says, there was a beast that came up out of the sea. The sea represents chaos. You have a beast coming up out of the chaos, which is like hell. It is the opposite of God's order and his way and his system. Satan's system is a system of chaos. It is hyper-controlled, but it is chaos. It is disorder, right? It wants to break down God's order. It is anti-order to God's order, but it does actually come across in its expression as hyper-controlled and hyper-order. But in the spiritual, it's disorder. Like everybody's their own God, right? That's Satan's mantra. I'm God, you can be God. There are no gods. There is no truth. There's nothing set. You can do whatever you want. You can be your own God. You can make up whatever you want. You control reality. This is chaos. This is the sea. You have a beast coming up out of the sea. So when Satan creates chaos by separating us from God, then he can rise a beast out of that chaos, right? But first, he has to separate us from God's order so that we are in chaos, and out of the chaos he can come up with a beast to dominate us, right? So the beast comes up. It describes the beast in these animal terms, but here's the thing, in verse 2, the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. Here it is, guys. Satan crafts his nation-state beast, and then he gives to it his authority. What does that mean? Satan is expressing his power and dominion, throne, through a system. That's what it means, guys. Satan isn't coming to you directly, knocking on your door, ringing the doorbell, going, hey guys, would you like to follow me? No. He creates a system that looks beneficial, it looks good, it looks organized, it looks like it's going to provide everything you need. Government. It's a beast, though, and what does a beast do? It's wild, it's ravenous, it will devour you. That's why the beast has it has a mouth of a lion, and in Daniel, the second beast in particular has meat in its mouth, and all the beasts have teeth and claws, and they devour. They eat flesh, guys. Satan's system is a beast that devours people. That is its purpose. It is also, though, a system which looks beneficial. It looks like it will provide everything you need. Why today are we looking to the government for everything we need and thinking the government can solve all of our problems, when in fact they're creating all of our problems? Because that's Satan's plan. He wants to present a beast system that looks beneficial, looks like it will take care of us and provide security and financial stability, but actually it devours people. And if you participate with it, you are marked. It is a spiritual mark. It is a psychological mark. It bends everything you do and think to its will, right? But keep in mind, Satan disguises himself as something beneficial. That's why it says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. He presents himself as something beneficial, as a beneficial system, right? So the people worshiped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast. Again, guys, people aren't worshiping Satan directly. They see his system and they worship that system, and thus they worship him. But nobody's worshiping Satan on purpose, guys. Worldly people following Satan's system, marked by the beast, aren't doing this knowingly. They think it's good. They are worshiping it, meaning they're giving their heart and their allegiance to it, right? Okay. So this is the first beast. Okay, I just want to go to verse 7 real quick. It says that this first beast in Revelation chapter 13 was given the ability to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Okay? This is why, guys, by the time you get to Revelation 17 and 18, the Holy Spirit says to God's people, come out of her, because they become indoctrinated and inaugurated in this system without realizing it, okay? Because verse 10 says, if anyone is destined for captivity, to captivity he goes. If anyone kills with the sword he must be killed. Here is the perseverance and the faith of the saints. Listen to that. I'm going to read that again. If anyone is destined for captivity, to captivity he goes. If anyone kills with the sword he must be killed. Here is the perseverance and the faith of the saints. I'm not 100% passive resistance kind of person. I am anti-war, I'm anti-murder, I'm anti-oppression, I'm anti-slavery. That's all Satan's system. Listen, guys, in essence, this is the thing that is often before us as Christians, as followers of God, as godly people. Are you willing to go into captivity in your allegiance to God, in your desire to not follow Satan's system? Or are you going to pick up the sword and defend yourself against Satan's system, therefore using his system and his power to try to get out of it? It's the whole thing that I talked about in the last podcast with the Ring of Power. Tolkien's stories, Lord of the Rings, everyone has to deal with this ring of power. Are you going to use an evil system to try to secure your freedom? Are you going to pick up the sword? Well, then you'll die by the sword. Saints persevere by not participating with Satan's system, meaning you would rather be externally captive to remain internally spiritually free than become internally captivated by using violence and the sword, and thus not persevering. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. We persevere by not giving into Satan's system, and sometimes that means that externally we feel punished. Because remember, at the end of Revelation 13, all those who will not receive the mark of the beast cannot buy, sell, and trade. They're kept out of this system. And it can seem very detrimental. It can seem like you're in captivity to be free in God's system. Sometimes it looks like you're in captivity in Satan's. Okay? It looks that way. So you have to persevere. Now, freedom in God is true freedom, guys. So don't hear me saying you are truly captive. Don't be captivated by Satan's system for the sake of a delusion of freedom when you have real freedom in God, which sometimes may look like a perceived lack of freedom in Satan's system. Okay. There's a second beast that comes up then. The second beast takes up the power of the first. It just means that Satan's system arises, and then it fails, and then it comes again. And it comes again in a different form, but it's the same thing, right? This is the second beast takes on the form of the first. It appears to heal the first. Rome collapsed. It appears that Rome has risen again in America. Before it, Babylon. Before it, the Tower of Babel, the city of Babel. Over and over again, that's why there are 4 beasts. If Satan could do it all with one beast, it would work. He doesn't need 4 beasts, but the first beast fails, then the second fails, then the third fails, and now here we are, the 4th beast, which is America. The 4th time Satan has tried to instigate his plan and perfect his plan, and the 4th beast takes on the power of the last, and that one the last, and that's how it works. Then we get to the end of Revelation chapter 13. It says, "And he, the beast, causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free and the slave, to be given a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. And he decrees that no one will be able to buy or sell except that one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for the number is that of a man, and his number is 666. 666 is the number of the beast, but it is also the number of a man." Let's back up just a minute. First, verse 16, everybody receives the mark. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, slave or free. It doesn't matter your social standing, your social class, your financial standing. It doesn't matter who you are, guys. You are enslaved to Satan's system. So basically, money doesn't get you out of it. Status doesn't get you out of it. Financial, social, you're all under the same mark. It doesn't matter. So in Satan's system, it's a pyramid system. It appears that the higher up you go, the more you have, the better you are. But it's not true. That's something to be noted. Now the second thing in verse 17 is that it is a system of trade. This is why in Revelation 17 and 18, the harlot prostitutes herself to all the nations, right? Sexual idolatry with all the nations. That's how it's described. She's sexually immoral. It just meaning, it's not literal, guys. It means that there is this relationship like a husband and wife, but it is idolatrous. It is for the sake of money. Like, this is why a whore is someone who has sex for money. A prostitute has sex for money. It's not about the sex, it's about the money. It's about that you would do anything for money. And the worst thing you could do for money is have sex, because sex is God's ultimate image and gift to people that really love each other. It's the ultimate symbol of intimacy, and to take the ultimate symbol of intimacy and prostitute it to money is the worst thing you could do. It basically is just about prostituting ourselves for the sake of money, doing anything for money, sacrificing anything for money. Look, guys, the church in America has sacrificed itself for the sake of money. That's why Jesus says you cannot serve God and money. Money is a god. It demands allegiance. It's part of Satan's system because it forces you to participate. You cannot do anything in the West today without money. Money is one of the key features of the mark of the beast, guys. It's a system that seems like it allows us to transfer goods and land and services, right? Seems really good. It's a great idea, right? Okay. But it also allows ultra rich and ultra poor. It allows the convergence and the accumulation of resources into the hands of a few. It allows governments to control everything you do, guys. If the government validates a system of commerce, a system of currency, that it controls everything. It is a system of control. Money is not just the value of things and services. It is a system of control because you can't do anything without it. Try. So, guys, before money, we bartered. We traded, right? I'll do this for you. So there was a relationship in bartering that isn't there in money. Money is cold, calculated. It allows people to amass ungodly amounts of wealth and control and power. But guess what? It all feeds to Satan. It allows him to control everybody, because that's why it says, rich or poor, slave or free. It doesn't matter who you are. If you participate in Satan's system, you are enslaved. You may think you're powerful, but you're not. And then it says, here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For the number is that of a man. 666. Okay. In Jewish culture, in Jewish knowledge, this is what's called gematria. Like, a Jewish person reading this would have understood exactly what it means to calculate the number. Numbers represent letters, and so in Hebrew, 666 spells Neron, Caesar, or some translations have 616, which actually spell the name Nero, Caesar. But it's not about a person. It's about a type of person, guys. The man of perdition, the man of lawlessness, the Antichrist. And John says many Antichrists have already come into the world, right? It is a type of person that is very much like a Caesar, a ruler of an empire, and very much like Nero Caesar, who was the worst, one of the worst, if not the worst, Caesar in the history of Rome. He was maniacal. He was diabolical. He was delusional. He thought he was God. He thought he could do anything. He burned Rome because he wanted to rebuild it his own way. He killed people. He was a murderer. He was the worst kind of authoritarian, egocentric leader you could imagine. But he's a type. It represents someone who uses the system of Satan, the beast, for his own personal gain. And so it is, and it represents any person that creates any system like that. When you have a person at the center of a system, controlling that system for their own benefit, that's the mark of the beast. That's the 666. Guess what, guys? A pastor controlling a church for their benefit so that they can have a salary and they can control what people do and bend everything to their vision. They're operating under the mark of the beast. They are a small version of a Caesar because it's about them. A pastor-centric church is a satanic church, a demonically controlled church. I'm just going to tell you, most churches to some degree or another are a pastor-centric church. It is centered on a person. This is not God's plan. This is why in Ephesians chapter 4 and 1 Corinthians chapter 12, Paul says that Jesus lays out his church to have elders, a group of elders leading that are raising up other people to their place because it is egalitarian. It's not an oligarchy, it's egalitarian. It's everybody has a space, and it's not higher or lower. An elder isn't someone who has power over people. An elder is someone who has more maturity to teach other people that have less maturity in order to raise them up to their level. God is always raising us up. Even though he is higher in every way, he draws us up, lifts us up, restores us, puts us all on the equal playing field level with Jesus. We are co-heirs with Jesus, guys. That's amazing. Jesus is God. Jesus says, hey, I'm going to put you on my level. I'm going to grant to you everything I have. This is God's way. God is a giving flow of love. Satan is a taking flow of everything. How are we today participating with Satan's system? How are we receiving the mark of the beast? We're participating in his nation state. We're using money. We're acknowledging that individual people should be in charge over us in an authoritarian way, whether it's church or government or education or business. This is where we are. The fourth beast is the fourth expression of Satan's system. It is America. And if you are participating in this system, there's only one remedy, as I said last time in Revelation chapter 18. Get out. Get out. Start to find a way, guys, to live more and more independent from the system.
And he, the beast, causes all to be given a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. No one will be able to buy or sell except that one who has the mark. So let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast.